Welcome everyone to today's lesson. Today we are going to discuss about fractions, and the topics that we will learn about are starting with a whole, fractions of a collection, fractions of a region, numerator and denominator of a fraction, finding a fraction, and word problems. So here is something to warm me up before we get into the lesson. A whole. What's a whole? A whole is a singular object or a collection of objects. Now, if a whole is one single object, then it is called a region. But when a whole is a group of objects, then it is called a collection. Let us look at some examples. This is a pizza. This pizza is one complete whole. We can make parts of this and take pieces of those parts. In another example, we have a collection of mangoes here. Now, we can take a part from this collection by picking out the mangoes. Fraction. When an object or a group of objects are divided into equal parts, then each part is known as the fraction of the whole. Here are some examples. The circle is divided into two equal parts. Hence, each part is a fraction of the circle. So let's start with some whole figures. Here we have a rectangle, a circle, and a square. Now these are whole figures, which means they are complete and do not have any divide in them. Now, each figure can either be divided equally or unequally. Let's divide these three figures equally and see how they look. This is how they look when we divide them into two equal parts. This is how they look when we divide them into four equal parts. And so on. Now, we can also divide them into unequal parts. This is how that would look like. When we divide one whole into different parts, each part is called a fraction of the whole. Fractions of a region. 1/2. When we divide a whole into two parts, then the two parts are called as 2/2. We can write them as 1/2. For example, here is a circle. If I divide them equally, we get 2/2 of the circle. Now, if the 2/2 are of the same size, which means they are equal in size and shape, then we can say that they are 2/2 of the same shape. Here is a rectangle. If I divide it into 2/2 of the same size and shape and color 1/2 as red, I can say that 1/2 of the rectangle is colored red, or 1/2 of the rectangle is covered red, which means the shaded area divided by the total number of parts in the whole is equal to 1/2. Now, let's talk about 1/3. Here is a circle divided into three equal parts. When we divide a whole into three equal parts, we call them thirds. If I color one part of this circle in red, I can say that 1/3 of the circle is colored in red. If I color two parts of this circle in red, I can say that 2/3 of the circle is colored in red. 1/4. When a whole is divided into four parts that are equal, we call it fourths. Let's have a look at this rectangle. This is divided into four equal parts. If I color one part of them, then I can say that the rectangle is 1/4 colored. If I color two parts of this rectangle, I can say that 2 by 4 parts are colored. If I color 3 parts of this rectangle, then I can say that 3 by 4th parts of this rectangle is colored. Now let's talk about more fractions. Here is a rectangle divided into 10 parts. We can see that 3 parts of this rectangle are colored. So, to find the fraction, we need to put the number of colored parts in the top divided by the total number of parts. We can see that there are 3 colored parts, so 3 goes on top. Then the total number of boxes are 10, so the fraction is 3 by 10. Fractions of a collection. Now, a fraction can also be part of a collection or a group. For example, here you can see 3 children playing. What fraction of children are girls over here? Well, we can see that 2 out of 3 children are girls, which means 2/3 of the children are girls. We get this figure by dividing the girls by the total number of children present. Hence, 2 by 3. Now, I hope you understood that. Let's try it with an exercise. Let's take a look at another example. Here we have 6 cars. 2 of these cars are green in color. So we can say that 2/6 of the cars are green in color, which means the cars green in color divided by the total number of cars is equal to 2 by 6. The numerator and denominator of a fraction. Each fraction is divided into 2 parts, the numerator and the denominator. The denominator is the number written under the line, and it tells you how many parts the whole has been divided into. The numerator is written above the line, and it tells how many parts of the whole have you taken into account. For example, here is a circle divided into 4 parts. If I color one of these 4 parts, I can say that 1/4 of the circle is colored. Here we see 4 in the denominator because the circle is divided into 4 parts. And since one part is shaded, I put 1 in the numerator. Now here are some things to remember. Here is a circle divided into 2 equal parts. When no part is shaded, we put 0 in the numerator, which means 0 by 2. Now, there cannot be a fraction with 0 in the denominator, which would mean there are no parts of the whole. Now, if you see this circle, the 2 halves of this circle are shaded, which means 2 by 2. In such cases, we write the fraction as a whole or 1 because the complete body is colored. Finding fractions. Finding 1/2. Now, Sunita has 8 books. She wants to give 1/2 of these books to her friend. How many books would she have to give away? To find 1/2, we need to divide these 8 books into 2 equal parts, and Sunita has to give away 1 equal part to her friend. So, 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. So, each group would contain 4 books to have 2 equal parts. Sunita will give away 4 books from 8 books to her friend to give her 1/2 of the books. Now, if you want to find 1/3 of a whole, here is what we have to do. For example, we have 9 teddy bears over here. To find 1/3 of them, we need to divide them into 3 equal groups. On dividing, we find that each group has 3 teddy bears, which means 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3. So 1/3 of 9 is equal to 3. Now let's talk about finding 1/4. Here I have 8 rectangles. If I need to find 1/4 of these 8 rectangles, I need to divide them into 4 equal parts, which means 8 divided by 4. Now we can see that each part has 2 rectangles. So one part is equal to 1/4. So 1/4 of 8 rectangles is 2. Now let's move on to solve some word problems. I'll help you with the first 2 problems. Komal ate 1/4 of the number of the candies. Now how many candies did she eat? We can see that there are 8 candies in total. So 1/4 of 8 is equal to 2. So Komal ate 2 candies. Sahil read 1/2 of his books. How many books did he read? We can see that Sahil has 4 books with him. So a half of 4 books is equal to 2 books. So Sahil read 2 books.